Welcome back to this alphabet of healing. I'm Julia, a Woven Day sister in the Bay Area here in San Francisco. Today we are deepening the letter M in the alphabet of healing. Perhaps surprisingly, I've chosen a name, Johann Metz. This name might be unfamiliar to you, but it is a name well known in theological and spiritual circles. Johann Metz was a professor of theology and a Roman Catholic priest who passed away last year. Besides being an amazing thinker, a paradigm-shifting theologian, and a hidden theological poet, I believe he can teach us something very unique about healing. Similar to my parents' generation, Metz was born into World War II as a young boy and teenager. He grew up in a small Bavarian village context and lost his father at the age of 14, which impacted his life deeply as his mom suffered the loss intensely. Only 2 years later, at 16, he was drafted into the army not even a year before the war was over, as one of the last high school classes that Hitler threw cruelly in front of the Allied forces that already had sealed the fate of Germany long before Germany's declaration of defeat. In the following, I would like to read to you an autobiographical passage by Metz about his experience of war before he was captured by the US-American soldiers and brought to a POW camp in Baltimore. Metz writes, "Towards the end of the Second World War, at the age of 16, I was snatched out of school and conscripted into the army. I arrived at the front, which by that time had already advanced over the Rhine to Bavaria. My company consisted solely of young people, well over 100 of them. One evening the company commander sent me with a message to battalion headquarters. I wandered during the night through shattered, burning villages and farmsteads, and when next morning I returned to my company, I found only the dead. Dead bodies, overwhelmed by a combined fighter, bomber, and tank attack. I could only look into the still, dead faces of all those with whom on the previous days I had shared anxieties of childhood and the joys of youth. I cannot remember anything but a silent cry. I can still see myself there today, and my childhood dreams having collapsed before that memory." I think Metz never stopped feeling the rawness of his experience. He never really cured the wound and always was in opposition to the phrase, "Oh, time heals all wounds." We are forever wounded when others get wounded. Although perhaps one could psychoanalyze Metz simply summarizing his insights as theologizing a survivor guilt, I would like to resist that slightly, even though survivor guilt might have played some role in his unconsciousness. He developed a couple of theological concepts out of his life experience that I believe are of tremendous help for a journey of healing. A central one is called dangerous memory. Metz called everybody not to forget the wounds that have been inflicted on the innocent of our past and presence in this world. Not an abstract innocent other, but the specific innocent human being at our side, in our neighborhood or worse segregated by a freeway, but in our city. It is a specific innocent person that is suffering here or abroad, but which entrusts me with the task to remember them as long as I live. And not just to remember them in a platonic love, but in a dangerous passion that burns through all my prayer, thinking, working, and leisure. It is a memory that in its passion is dangerous to the status quo, that one might try to live, to remain neutral or untouched by the suffering of the innocent. For Metz, any survival of a society in the 21st century depends on the willingness to enter such a praxis of dangerous memory, individually and as a community, Perhaps turning the concept of a dangerous memory into a set of questions makes it clearer. Which memory of who makes me uncomfortable and pushes me to change and to change the society around me? Whose memory is told as a history of victories and whose memory I do not know much about? Whose memory, history, victories and sufferings I remember with names and specifics, and whose memory is lumped together and I only know by generalities and perhaps by a name for a whole group of actually most diverse people? One might say either our journey of healing is marked by such dangerous memories, or perhaps it is no journey of healing at all. Perhaps to remind us healing doesn't automatically mean to cure, to eliminate, to miraculously or medically being able to remove without trace the ill that has befallen the body, but to become whole with whatever has befallen the individual or the social body worldwide. One might say to develop one's fullest potential as human beings and as a human community, wearing scars of illness and wrongs that might not being able to be eliminated, since they have damaged the body too deeply, but that can be overcome with compassion, fueled by dangerous memory, a healing of a specific kind. A well-known Benedictine abbess in Manila, Philippines, who did her doctorate under Metz in Münster, Germany 40 years ago, shared with me some time back, what Metz taught me most is compassion. In all his intellectual genius, he would help us gather funds standing outside of the church on Sunday mornings. Metz later in his life made compassion one of his central theological categories that would become the axis in a collection of essays called Memoria Passionis, the remembrance of the passion, which for Metz delicately weaves together the passion of Christ and the passion of individuals and communities at lost places of Golgothas around the world over 2,000 years, a compassion fueled by dangerous memory of suffering. When my own biography led me to meet people in long-term cancer treatment and cancer survivors who were not necessarily cured but were able to live with the disease, I found an amazing overlap in their sharing: gratitude and compassion. Even for the most part, people held a gratitude for the experience of the illness. That doesn't mean there was no anger, wrestling with God, despair, vulnerability, feeling incredibly helpless and pain, but the unshakable foundation of waking up one day just knowing it is all good when I'm leaving today. That foundation of being bereft that only leaves gratitude and compassion in the heart was a common denominator between many of the people I have experienced. I myself remember a small experience, standing at a pond in a forest, overwhelmed by the feeling that if I would choose to live my life again, I would live it exactly again in the same way, including the mistakes. Experiencing that boundless gratitude without any regrets creates a dangerous memory of a different kind, but that is life-changing as well. Such dangerous memory causes compassion and is profoundly questioning the churning wheels of society and any status quo life is trying to achieve or defend in the world of the everyday. Sometimes people die 2 days after they have this foundational experience, sometimes 20 years later, but the experience changed them either way, because it is a compassion fueled by dangerous memory of gratitude. I would say that if it is a dangerous memory fueled by suffering or dangerous memory fueled by gratitude, both mean it is a radical interruption in one's life regardlessly. Some years back, Metz developed a definition for religion that I would like to leave with you today. He said the shortest definition of religion is interruption. And as we continue a journey of healing, I would like to ask us, is there actually any true healing possible without such radical interruption that rips open the heavens and lets rain down God's presence?